Hey, this is Mike.
Hey, this is Kaz, and you are listening to Two Broke Watch Snobs, the only watch podcast that knows no wife, no dog, no home. You have nothing, John. You have made it all the way to episode 288 or 280. I almost messed it up. I caught it. 280 of the Two
We,
Broke Watch Snobs podcast.
we've been out
Hello.
of practice. I think I had to learn how to do a lot of this stuff again. It's okay.
I also have to do it at half volume because my son is asleep. Just
That's
right
okay.
there. Just
It's okay.
over here.
We can still hear you.
Can you hear me? Am I real? This is going to be a ton of fun. 280 episodes in. We have had a little bit of an unintended hiatus from about mid-September to now. The time of this recording, it's November 10th, 2024. Mike and I are going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to get into a little bit of personal stuff, specifically in regard to me. Just a really quick shout out. Thanks for everyone that did reach out. That did reach out to see if we were okay, especially because one of us is on the west coast of Florida. So
Yeah, you people are so nice.
right? I don't get it.
It's funny. It's funny
when
when
you know
run.
we're not real. We're not real. We're not a real part of your lives. You have real people around you. We're just two assholes on the internet.
Folks were very kind, and you
your
tend
real
to forget
friends.
about that when you're
Yeah.
doing a watch podcast. That you're just like, oh, maybe people listen, maybe people don't. But yeah, some very very nice folks out there.
Yeah, around and through the slew of big zero emails and messages, we had some very nice.
Still
They've
getting
been
them, dude.
increasing. They've been increasing lately.
They still come in.
Telling you, man. This is going to be a ton of fun. Episode 280 of the Two Woke Watch House podcast. Michael and I, we were trying to figure out something fun we wanted to do. We wanted to do something fun. We wanted to do something super geeky and nerdy, but we also wanted something that was really special, I think, to both of us. We'll get a little bit more about that. And so we decided to take two things that we loved and combine them, coalesce them into, if you will, into the diamond that is episode 280. There's watches, and it is Disney. So henceforth, episode 282 of Watch the Podcast will be known as the history of the Mickey Mouse watch. In broader terms, the Disney watch, but we're going to be specifically focusing on the idea of the Mickey Mouse watch, which we're going to talk about this. I think is really interesting. I don't think people realize how ingrained the concept of early Disney merchandising. So I'm talking, 1920s, 1930s. So this is pre-Snow White. This is pre-opening of actual Disneyland on the West Coast. The 20s and 30s, the idea of how ingrained Disney product merchandising is with not just American manufacturing, but American watchmaking. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, Michael, we have to honor tradition. Do you want to do an audio risk check with me for the first time in like fucking 6 or 8 weeks?
I've got something cool. Something I
bet
haven't.
you do.
It's not mine, but it is the first time this watch will make it on the show. And actually, before I do that, I want to pull up a piece from our site because we wrote about a while back.
Okay.
The predecessor to this watch.
Oh,
there's some suspense now. I'm sorry.
There is
I'm
some suspense.
Trying to be a producer at the same time. Oh, okay.
Wait, so it's not your watch? Did you steal it? Did you steal a watch?
I didn't steal it. They were kind enough to send it over. But okay, I am wearing. Very nice. Oh my gosh, I gotta do the share thing now. Of course. Come on, Michael. It clearly has been a while. You can tell.
That's okay. Just happy to be on the airwaves.
I am wearing the Raven Endeavor 2.
I love this color.
So that's why I I actually went for this one when the team wrote to me and said, do you want to check one out? And they have a ton of cool colors. So you see some more traditional colors here, like this blue, I'm sure is very popular. The yellow, these are all, especially the yellow and the orange, that's like tough dive watch colors. Mm-hmm. But this pistachio stood out to me. And
it's interesting. Oh, sorry. This is
I'd never seen anything like that before. So I just had to check it out. And let's see, I can probably, there it is right here.
How cool is that? We've had Steve from Raven on the show before, and I think when he was on the show, we were talking to him about micro brands and colors, and he always said he wasn't like a big. I remember him saying he never wanted to do big out there colors, like, you know what I mean. And so this isn't necessarily an out there color, but it certainly isn't necessarily what I would have expected them to do, which is not a bad thing. I think this is beautiful. You know,
What is crazy to me, let's see, can I move to another tab? I can't. Let me stop sharing. There is, when we were in San Francisco, gosh, what was it, 2019? There we go.
I think
So what
something like that.
what you see here on screen
Yep.
is
Oh,
the
yeah.
original Endeavor. And there's such different watches visually. I just wanted to show side by side so people can see how this thing evolved. And they're both watches with a lot of character. I think Raven, you know, when we think about that brand, we think about the Trekker. It's such a hit. And they still make them. But for something slightly more out there or modern and beefy, the Endeavor came into the collection. And I hadn't really thought much about that watch since, seeing this blue one that we have here that we saw in person.
Mhm.
But what we have now is a total redesign. I think it is kind of big for my wrist.
How big is it?
Let's see. So the diameter is 42 millimeters, but there's something about the boxiness that makes it feel larger, like a 43 or a 44. And it doesn't sit on my wrist as well as it does in this photo that you're seeing here. It still feels, it feels like a bit much for me, but it is a very well-built watch. 47 lug to lug. And let's see, in this one, you have the Miyota 9015.
You know, it feels pretty beefy because those lugs are pretty beefy. Like the space from the thinnest part of the lug to the bezel is still pretty big. It's probably taking up a lot of space on your wrist because it's just a lot of material.
Yeah.
At least just basing off the look of it here.
And this does have these quick release
bless
spring bars. And it has the Node X quick adjust clasp that we're seeing in more and more watches. So
why not?
It's happening.
It's happening. That's pretty cool.
I dig it. You know, it may not be that it's large, but it's heavier than I expected. You could probably wear this on rubber or NATO and it'll feel.
This thing would probably kill on rubber. I would totally throw it on rubber.
Yeah. So I've been digging it for a bit. It's a beefy dive watch with a helium escape valve on the side.
Oh, good. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Yeah, I needed it. But this is just something cool, something fun from the brand. I'm also keeping an eye on those new Trekkers. They seem like a lot of fun, and hopefully we can.
Still partial to the Ventures. Remember the Ventures?
Yeah, you had one for a while, right?
I had one for a while.
I don't know if you still do. This kind of feels like that same sort of heft with the Ventures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it the Venture?
Yeah. I don't think the Venture is around anymore. Is it?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It had a lot of people drew comparisons between it and like the Tudor Ranger because of that hour hand. You know what I mean? But like to me, they're different watches. That thing was a ton of fun. Hell yeah! You're enjoying your time with it. Is it in for review?
It's in for review. It's in for a podcast. Kind of visit.
Yes.
Hell yes. Whatever. They're really a nice team, and they share stuff with us pretty often.
Heck yeah! Super cool. Thanks, Raven.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Very cool. Hell yeah.
What about you?
I'm just wearing my Grand Seiko. I wanted to see if I could have my wrist disappear into my wall. It just looks like there's a hole in my wrist when you get it on my wall. I didn't realize this color might be my number 23. It's just kind of everywhere. And I didn't realize how much I gravitated towards it and how much of my life is dictated. I don't know if anyone is even understanding what movie I'm referencing,
I
but there's a Jim
forgot
Carrey
about
movie.
I forgot about that movie.
There's a
I
Jim
can't
Carrey
even
movie called
remember if it was
23.
good.
I don't remember if it was good. I just remember it. But this color is just everywhere for me. But no, I'm wearing my Grand Seiko. I love this thing still. It is like coming home every time I put it on. This is the SBG V233. It is technically a JDM titanium quartz Grand Seiko. It is the 9F quartz 9F82, I believe. So it's a bit of an older 9F quartz movement. I love it. I think it's perfect. This is, if you've been watching the show for a while, you've been seeing this watch for a bit now. I have a write up on the website. You can go and check it out. If you just Google, I don't know, TBWS Grand Seiko or just Grand Seiko Quartz, you'll probably see it somewhere in there. And I got some more photos and everything like that. But this watch is really interesting. I really wish Grand Seiko did another version of this. It can be the exact same watch, everything the same, except I really just wanted to have Arabic numerals. I love the movement. Oh yeah, here it is. Pikachu. I love the movement. I love the case. I love this heritage case. This style of case is 40 millimeters. It hugs my wrist perfectly. I just wish it had Arabic markers. The only thing I would knock is just, and this is actually the gap in my everyday wearing experience that the Monta Triumph fills. The Monta Triumph is an Arabic numeral watch that is not similar dimensions, but similar sort of, for me at least, wearing experience. This is a little bit heavier, obviously. I love this photo. So the background for this photo, that's actually the paper they include as part of the wrapping for a Grand Seiko box.
Really?
It's this beautifully like Bible paper thin parchment with this like veining going through it. It's and like as I was unboxing it, I'm like, dude, I'm doing a photo with this paper. Just this fucking paper is gorgeous. And so I still have it. Still have the paper with the box. You know?
Yeah, this thing is great.
Yeah.
You you let me wear it for a bit the last time I was in Florida, and I still think
Totally
I broke
not
it.
your watch. You didn't break it. They changed the battery. It was the battery. That was just bad timing. The battery. I remember I was in New York and I went to the boutique and I had them swap the battery out. Well, no, they had to send it to Japan to swap the battery out. I cannot imagine my carbon footprint getting my fucking watch battery changed.
That's too funny.
You know what I'm saying? A plane had to fly my little fucking watch over to Japan. Yeah. And then someone had to drive it there. And someone had to clock in and eat breakfast and then work on it in Japan. But no, I would love... Oh, sorry.
I'll go. You go ahead.
No, every now and then I'll go and I'll look to see if I can find a Grand Seiko that's exactly like this with Arabic numerals. It doesn't have to be the same color. I'll do a black dial. Oh, that'll be killer. I'll do that all day.
I don't know if Arabics are their thing.
No, it's not. That's the problem. And I get it. You know, if I want Arabic numerals, I should just, I don't know, buy a Monta Triumph or something.
Yeah. That is a fantastic watch, and I can't remember if the new titanium like quartz snowflake that they came out with. I can't remember if it's the same case as yours, but it is
smaller.
Oh, it's even smaller. Oh, because yours
is like 37 or something like that. Mine's 40.
Wow, it doesn't feel like 40.
No, it's perfect. It's the perfect watch. We're Eskimo wrist bros. We have the same wrist. It's the perfect watch. It just sits on there exactly the way it's supposed to.
Because a lot of times a 40 without a bezel, I'll just put that on and it'll feel like not right or whatever. But something they did there just made it feel really, really perfect.
I don't know what it is.
I still have to try to see if I can find one of those quartz snowflakes, maybe in downtown Seattle where they sell Grand Seiko. I can
try one on.
Hop back in there again.
Try one on. I would be interested to hear your experience to see if it to hear if it wears small. Because 37, if 40 feels perfect, would 37 be small? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I really would like to try one of those on. This reminds me that I placed an order for my first titanium watch.
What is it?
It's
You want to keep a
not
secret?
it's not the snowflake. It'll be a secret
No.
now.
Okay.
For now.
Okay.
I'll tell you after. But
Can you give us a geographical impression? Western Hemisphere, Eastern Hemisphere, no hemisphere.
Pacific Northwest.
You give me a very specific area. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean,
Cool.
I think that narrows it down for people in the know, I'm sure.
Not for me. I'm drawing a blank.
All right, we'll talk about it.
We'll figure it out. That's cool. Hell yeah. I'm excited. Because you've never owned a titanium watch before.
No, I actually got so close to very stupidly buying a Pelagos FXD one day,
Right.
and I was manic to the point of just like, I got the money, I'm just gonna go to the mall and get it.
I still think the original 42 millimeter Pelagos is one of the nicest titanium watches I've ever worn in my entire life.
Yeah, but then I kept on going to the Tudor subreddit, and the quality control issues that I'm seeing are becoming more and more and more apparent. And after the two separate movement issues that I had, I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not going to take the risk again. So
if you already have the odds for some reason weighed against you with Tudor quality control, why increase the variables for those odds to go up and just get something that already has QC issues as the norm potentially? So
yeah, it's a little sad, but I'm just going to stay away from the brand for the foreseeable future, because it's the same thing that happened. The watches just stop. I don't feel like a freak now because I fell asleep with a BlackBerry 58 and woke up and it just wasn't running.
The Pelagos, those are the ETA movements, right? They originally had ETA movements, right?
Originally, yeah. Those, and if you find one of those two liners now with the ETA movement, it's kind of tough at this point. And
really,
yeah, they've almost gone. I think they've almost gone up in value, or they sell for a prettier penny than some of the modern ones.
You could keep your eye on David SW. Just keep going, checking out the Tudor area there. That watch, that is a fantastic watch. It is a big watch, but because it's titanium, at least for your and my wrist size, it was amazing. That was a great wearing experience. So I hear you. I'm excited.
It's a good wrist check.
That's my wrist check. I possibly have another watch in the sights, which we'll actually talk about today. It's related to this episode.
Okay.
I'll go a little bit into that, but you want to spend a few minutes just giving a quick update on just where we've been, what's going on, talk about the Spotify SoundCloud issues, or not the Spotify, just the SoundCloud issues that have been happening with the show.
Yeah, we can give an update on that specifically. So we had again, very nice people writing in saying, hey, looks like I can find only up until episode 70 something of your show.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to catch up. I started in episode 1. We've heard the story a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much for whoever does that.
But I guess some folks got to the mid 70s or whatever, and they said, I can't find the other episodes on Spotify. So earlier, just actually, or mid-October, maybe late October, SoundCloud and Spotify just had an issue where they just weren't talking to each other technically in the back end. So that led to some episodes disappearing. On the Spotify end, it should be fixed now. And I think there's still some work to be done on the Apple Podcast side. But if you ever just want to listen to episodes, you can find them all on soundcloud.com/twobroke-watchsnobs. I don't know if SoundCloud has a nice app to use like on mobile or whatever, but
you know, it's funny. We've been on SoundCloud since the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know very much about SoundCloud.
I think when we started the show, it was kind of this weird
where can we publish for the cheapest?
Yeah, and it's, musicians do put stuff on there, but at the time it was a lot of like internet rappers and
a lot of rappers. Yeah.
They send bot comments to our inbox still. It's like, yo, let's collab. I don't think you know what you're doing.
Who
But
are you? Yeah.
yeah, but it should be fixed now, at least between SoundCloud and Spotify. So
In regards to this topic, I want to pose two questions out for folks, and I would love to hear your responses. First question: if there's somewhere more appropriate we should be publishing the show, or at least hosting the show, so the show will distribute through a lot of different platforms, so Spotify, Apple, even YouTube. Go and check it out on YouTube as well if you want to see the video, if you want to see Mike and Mike's faces or whatever. But it's hosted ultimately on SoundCloud, and SoundCloud was the source of this issue. That's what Mike's talking about. If there's another better option for hosting the audio to distribute, let us know your thoughts. I'm not super well aware.
It's all just an RSS from SoundCloud, and it's it streams down to all of these other podcast spots, which I barely know about.
SoundCloud analytics kind of suck, so I'm not even like necessarily married to like they're like, oh, I'm not leaving SoundCloud over my dead fat fucking body. It's just like I'm fine going somewhere else. Like anytime we have to pull analytics from SoundCloud, I have to do math.
Yeah,
that's a fucking dangerous thing to ask me to do, Michael. People will die. Okay, if I have to do math. Second thing, I brought this up before. I think we should seriously consider it in light of recent events that have happened on our show. Greater community. Do you think Michael and I should post the episodes, our show, to Pornhub? I think it'd be fucking hilarious.
I was not expecting that.
Just casually, we talked about this. Just casually, just being like, hey guys, Two Book Watch Snobs, thanks for checking us out on Pornhub. It's like, what's happening? Are any of these two guys gonna take their shirts off? What's gonna happen?
It'd be funny if we got it. It'd be funny if that would be the move that got us serious advertisers. For some reason,
who the fuck would every cannabis company?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know who else would advertise with us on Pornhub.
Yeah, and then we'd probably break some rules. We would probably have to do taxes differently or not at all.
Could be it sounds like a great adventure. You're really selling me on this thing, dude. This is our descent into like a madness. You know what I mean? I like it.
Boy.
But no, everything should be okay now, I guess it seems like, with the SoundCloud stuff.
I think so. I'll at least between Spotify and SoundCloud, it should be fixed. I'll check Apple Podcasts after this. Yeah.
And then, like I said, there's a different place people think, if you're also a podcast creator or a content creator of any kind, and you're just like, yeah, I love being on blah, 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 just let us know. I mean, it just literally just open to any kind of thoughts or opinions. Sweet. Should I give a really quick update about just the past couple weeks, fucking 8 weeks, 6, 7 or 8 weeks?
Yeah, I think it's warranted. I think people, people were wondering about us, and you had a lot of crazy weather on your side of the country.
Yeah. Super appreciate everyone reaching out and just seeing if I'm okay. So I'm located here on the Gulf Coast of Florida. I'm like in between the Sarasota and Bradenton area, and so obviously we had Hurricane Helene kind of brush through here, go up the country, and then really devastate parts of the South, Georgia, North Carolina, especially South Carolina. I think got impacted too. Like it's super sad. And then after that, we had Milton make more direct impact. Like Milton literally made landfall at Siesta Key, which is like my local beach, like here in the Bradenton, Sarasota area. So thanks for everyone that reached out. A lot of contributed to me being offline was that, honestly. The storms impacted a lot of things. But the largest thing actually is the last episode re-recorded. I don't remember what day that was exactly, but on that exact day, so I don't know if I ever told you the full story, Mike, but that day, it was a day or two before that. A day or two before that, my phone rings, which first of all is terrifying. No one calls me. Text me. If you call me, I assume you're like the IRS, or it's like a scam or something like that. Don't fucking call me.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think the IRS is allowed to call you. I have a bunch of accountants yelling at their radios right now. We're not allowed to call you. They're not accountants, auditors. And so my phone rings. It's automatically terrifying. And it's my mom. My mom never calls me. Never calls me. And so I see that. I'm like, fuck. The house burned down or my dad's dead. I said that to Becky. I'm like, babe, one of those two things is happening. And she's like, and obviously I missed the call because I was talking to my fucking wife. And so I had to call my mom back. Call my mom back. My dad had a heart attack. He didn't die. My dad had a heart attack on his 75th birthday. During his 75th birthday party, he ended up having a heart attack. And so we had travel plans for just a family vacation, me, my wife, and my son. We canceled those and immediately got into a car as soon as we were able to figure everything out, like a day or two after that, and drive down to Fort Lauderdale because he had to go and have triple bypass surgery. So 3 blocked arteries, blocked, clogged, whatever it is. 2 99% block and then 1 like 60% block or something like that. And so my dad's a really interesting guy. I don't know if this is a generational thing or a cultural thing, but my dad does not tell anyone when anything's wrong. He's just like, oh, I'll just power through it. I'll just drink another glass of water and I'm sure I'll feel bad. I don't know why. I shouldn't complain. I do the same thing sometimes. And so for months he had been short of breath. He had issues standing up. He'd been getting dizzy. He having like numbing sensations every now and then, and he has like other health issues, and he was kind of just shrugging it off and everything like that until obviously it wasn't an issue. So I was down there for a while, just helping figure everything out. He went through the bypass surgery. He came out fine. Thankfully, the surgery went really, really well. It's so cliche, and everyone talks about it. I hear everyone talking about it all the time, and every time I enter a new phase of it, it always impacts me. But it's so emotionally disarming watching your parents age and seeing them weak and cry at their weakest. Yeah. It disarms me every time. You think like, oh yeah, it's fine. The old battle axe, he's down for the count again, but he'll be fine. But like, no, you immediately turn into a little kid who has to possibly exist in a world where your parents not there anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't care if you're 37 like me, you're 40, you're 50. It's really it cuts very interestingly. And I remember just before, I think I told you the story, Mike. Just before they were going to do the anesthesia to like go and get the procedure done. So the particular procedure that he had is the one that he didn't want to do, but it was the one the doctor recommended. And I think it was called something unfairly benign. It's like the cabbage procedure or something like that. I'm not even fucking joking. I think it's like an acronym. It's called, we're gonna do the cabbage procedure. They cut through the bone of your chest and then they open you up like a king crab, like this. They spread the bones apart, and that's how they get access, to your heart. And so I'm in the room and the doctor's like meticulously talking through this, but like that was the day before. So the day after, it was just before my dad was about to go under the anesthesia, and he's in pre-op and everything. And my dad's told me this a couple of times. My dad keeps a lot of his personal stuff pretty guarded. Again, I don't know if it's a generational thing or a cultural thing. And he told me this a couple of times, and he goes, my biggest, he looks at me, he's like, my biggest regret is I never got to tell my mom goodbye before she died. He's like, I want you to say goodbye to me. And I'm like, you're going to be fine. The problem is there was a bit of uncertainty because of his age. He has other health complications as well. There was some, they were just worried. And my dad was worried, and, and he smoked cigars for 50 years. That's catching up with him. He's diabetic. He's had liver cirrhosis. He's had cancer twice. And like, and now this. And so he's like, I need you to say goodbye to me. I'm like, I'm not saying it's like, say goodbye to me. I'm like, fine. Goodbye, Dad. I'll see you when you wake up. And like, I was trying to act all nonchalant and hard. And I got in my car and I cried my fucking face off. I'm like, that might have been it. Yeah. That might have been it. And then I went, and then we got I told you that we had a hotel because I didn't want to stay in my parents' house because then I would just turn into a teenager again. I can't fucking have that. So we stayed in my wife and son and I, we stayed in a hotel, and it was on Fort Lauderdale Beach. And so I cried in the car. I got in the car, I drove to the hotel, and I sat in the balcony looking at the ocean, just crying at the ocean, like Penelope, just waiting for Odysseus. I told you that was the only That was
Yeah.
the only metaphor I could think of someone crying in front of the ocean. Although I'm sure the rich tapestry of life is full of people crying in front of the ocean. I just couldn't think of them. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I think someone cried in front of the ocean somewhere in that fucking film. That is the second Jim Carrey non-comedy reference of the episode.
That was a
I
good
wonder
one.
if I could. It was a good movie. I wonder if I could do 3 Jim Carrey
Might squeeze one in. Yeah.
non-comedy references. But he's fine, and I stayed behind for a little bit, and then Helene was coming, and I had to get the fuck back home and get the place ready for Helene. And then after that, it was Milton, and so like next thing I knew, it was Halloween, and things were just getting
Back to normal.
just
Yeah.
getting back to normal. So I don't want to go too much further into it, but just that's where we've been, and
No,
or at least that's
always,
where I've been. You know,
I always say it. I've probably said it on the show before, but the thing that freaks me out is realizing that I am now at the age that my parents were when I think of most of my core memories of them, like
yeah,
mid to late 30s.
yeah,
Those are the core memories of my parents, and
Yeah.
now I'm that age. And now they're like a totally different age. They're like the age that my grandpa was, and then the way that I looked at my grandpa when I was that age, it's like that
Yeah.
guy's like 100 years old. Holy shit! So, yeah, passage of time. Yeah,
It's
freaks you
really
out.
weird. It's freaky because, and this is so cliche. Everyone's probably just like, duh, Kaz. Obviously, it's so gradual. If you literally don't take a moment to stop and think about it, you're going to miss it. You miss
Yeah.
so much. You miss so much by not just stopping and thinking. Like literally in my mind, I'm as emotionally connected to myself as I was when I left home when I was 18. I remember leaving home and saying bye to my dad because I turned 18 and I fucking left home because fuck that place. I had a weird childhood. And but in my mind, it feels like it was not that long ago, but obviously that was a long fucking time ago. And
Yeah.
so much stuff has happened between those that I know there's things that I've totally just not really properly absorbed or I've just forgotten because I didn't want to be authentically present in the moment to be aware of the time that was passing. That's why I'm trying to do everything I can with my son. I'm trying to make as many memories as we can. I'm trying to get as many to like a neurotic level. I'm trying to get as many like photos of him as I can. And I'm just and yeah, it's really interesting. I had someone at work describe it to me this way, because when I went back to work, you know, I was explaining to like, oh, what happened with my dad and everything, and they were just like, huh, you know, we have a term in the marketing world. You're in the squeeze. I'm like, what's the squeeze? Like the squeeze. You're being squeezed between taking care of parents who, you know, aren't well anymore while also trying to take care of kids who you're trying to raise. You know, demographically in terms of a target audience, you're the squeeze audience. I'm like, that's great. I'm really glad I can be
Thanks.
bucketed into a spreadsheet audience. That's cool, bro. You know, so but that's where I've been. But yeah, so thank you for everyone that reached out just to see if we were okay from the storm and just from being not doing the show for so long or anything like that. So and my dad's okay. He's okay now. He's just annoyed he can't move as fast as he used to. Which is fine. There's a fucking hole in his chest, which you know has to heal. Dude, they had to vacuum seal the wound afterwards. It was fascinating. I was just looking at it when he got out, and like there's a bandage there, and they like vacuum sealed around it, and yeah.
I just
Dude,
never
huge
want to go to
prop-
the doctor.
Yeah, well, I would literally we literally are about to say the actual antithetical statements to say. Huge props to doctors and modern medicine. I was literally about to say that when you were like, I don't want to go to the doctors, man.
Huge props to you, but I don't want to see you.
Huge props to docs, nursing staffs, admin, everyone. Fucking valets at the hospital. Like every time I've had to go to a hospital for a major medical event, every person I've interacted with has been great, except one person.
Steve.
And it was the Steve. I know, not the good Steve, not the Steve we were just talking about. There was the person in charge of billing at the hospital that my wife and I were at when my son was born. That person was a fuckhead. Super rude, super fucking rude. Like, we're just sitting there trying to learn how to nurse our kid for the first time, and she barges into the room, like asking for like information, and like it's just
Here's the
so
bill.
stupid. What'd you say?
Here's the bill.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, yeah, that's amazing. I'd love to pay your money. I'm a little busy right now, dude.
Oh man.
So, but that's Ruben. Again, thanks for everyone for reaching out. We're all okay. Here's to hurricane season being over soon.
Yeah,
It's been a weird one, dude.
it has been a weird one.
You know?
I also just realized that in less than 2 months, Y2K will be a quarter century ago. Speaking of the passage of time,
Becky and I were talking about Y2K recently. She was like, I don't get why everyone was so worried. It's like, it's complicated. It's not complicated, but like, you have to be so. People weren't as in touch with just technology back then, but also at an even more niche level, the concept of like code implications and computer intelligence, and there were some things that people just didn't know what was going to happen, and so like it was all centered around like dates. Like if you've seen Office Space did a really good job of explaining what was it Office Space?
Office Space, yeah.
Yeah, what the whole Y2K thing was, and like it's so if you're interested, go and fucking just watch Office Space, or if you just work in an office, watch Office Space. You'll find it wonderfully therapeutic. Maybe a little dated. It depends.
Nah,
Depends.
it still holds up.
Fucking great. But yeah, man. Should be all good. Otherwise, nothing else happened of importance.
That's it.
Or events. Well, note, nothing else. I think the squirrel died. That sucks.
Squirrel did.
That was a big deal. I saw that.
That's about it.
That's about it.
On November 10th, 2024. Yep.
Yeah. Let's talk about the main topic.
That was a beefy update, and thanks for if you're logging on, and I don't know if you got a notification somewhere and you thought to yourself, hey, I'm gonna listen to this show. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. And I just wanted to take an appropriate amount of time to respectfully explain to people where I have been, only to match everyone's kindness about just seeing where we were, if we were okay.
Yep.
So, you want to talk about Mickey Mouse watches?
It's the perfect segue to Mickey Mouse watches.
It actually is. So this idea of Disney in America as an American brand and as a beloved American brand across just multi-generational, from little kids to older adults to older ass adults. The idea of Disney is very, very interesting. You have you heard the term like Disney adult before?
I have, yeah.
So this idea of a Disney adult, it's someone that is, in almost, like, I think the caricature or the derogatory way of looking at it is someone that is in a negatively clinical way trying to act like a child at Disney. They got the ears on, they wait in line to take pictures with Mickey while there's like other actual children there and stuff like that, but I think there's something to be said about this idea of Disney as an entity and as a manufacturer of a brand and a manufacturer of products, and creating the opportunity for people to find happiness through their brand in whatever way is appropriate to them. I've seen all kinds of different people use Disney as a medium to just find happiness or find escape. That's the whole idea. That's the whole idea behind the original inception of just Disneyland, escaping the world of today. And so I Disney's very near and dear to my heart, which is why I'm very excited to talk about this. I know an appropriate amount of stuff in regards to this topic, but there's something I'm curious on, Michael.
I think you never.
You and I, well, yeah, you and I have never talked too much about this. Your wife likes Disney. She's very much into the Disney idea and the idea of magic and everything like that as a product.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you?
So I think
we've never talked directly about this before.
No, we haven't. And like we were like all of us, we were all kids growing up in South Florida, and a trip to Disney World, where I think for a lot of families that don't have that same proximity, a trip to Disney World, or probably two, was not uncommon every
Right.
year. Whether it's like a
Right.
summer thing, it's just 4 hours away. Where some people, even internationally, you could spend like a year planning a visit or something. You know, it's a
Yep.
huge undertaking to get the family out there. So I think it was a I think it's definitely something I took for granted growing up. Um there are a lot of a lot of Disney stories and movies and everything that are just near and dear to me from growing up.
Sure.
Uh I, actually, like, Spanish was technically my first language, and
Mhm.
I I learned a lot of English through like Disney movies and reading books
Oh,
and stuff.
cool. That makes
So
sense.
that kind of helped me out, and it's still a like huge part of my childhood. And there are we talk about, I think, the same like two or three movies that always resonate with me. It's, Sword in the Stone,
Yep.
the Robin Hood animated one. Those two are just like my jam.
Right.
Um, the thing is, and of course, like, going to the parks as a kid was a huge deal. I was kind of weird though. The park that I was always most excited about was at the time was MGM Studios. I don't
Oh.
I don't know why. I really wanted to go on the ride where, like, they showed you movie stuff and like explosions or whatever. And there used to be I had another weird obsession as a kid with the movie Rocketeer. I think the Rocketeer
Oh
was a
yeah.
Disney
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. Puts on like the brass metal helmet, has a fin. He gets the jetpack. Oh yeah.
And one of those rides had this mini sort of museum in the back that you would walk through, and they had the jetpack there. And I saw that one time, and I was just like, the family would plan the vacation, and um I'd always be the annoying one, like, are we going to MGM? I want to see that stuff again.
Hell
Uh
yeah.
so the castle and all that stuff, and of course, like, the scary roller coasters, Thunder Mountain, Space Mountain.
Disney.
um
Disney scary. Disney
yeah,
scary roller
yeah,
coasters.
Disney scary. So yeah, that was kind of a big thing for me growing up. In adulthood, I'm just really on the lookout for good stories and, you
Mm.
know good movies. We were talking about Tangled the other day. I think that one's fantastic.
Yeah.
I just want to see them now with all of the momentum that they've built up over the decades to see what they can do now that it's bigger than ever before. I don't know if I'm super into Disney today.
Mm.
Um, I do appreciate the that some of the magic still seems to be there. We talk about hospitality a lot, and they are kind of world class in the way that they do those things.
Yeah. Depending on where you go on property. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's been. I mean, I think the last big bout of excitement I had was when that Star Wars kind of acquisition happened, because I was a big Star Wars kid,
Oh
and
yeah.
I wanted to see how that evolved, how Star Wars would evolve with the power of Disney behind it. And I think we got some good stuff. I still think the Mandalorian's pretty sweet. Um,
You know,
it's
Disney, the Disney acquisition of the Star Wars IP, $4 billion. It's the boredest I've ever seen. Like like George Lucas. Like if you go and Google a photo of like Bob Iger and George Lucas, no, he doesn't. I think he just burned all the money afterwards. I think he actually just gave it all away. The $4 billion. But so I think the my impression as someone that like you, I had a love of the Star Wars, lore, and this very interesting, uh, this almost cultural milestone that was created by the Star Wars franchise. I had a very strong relationship with it as well, just like you. And the idea Disney acquisition was really interesting. I think if I could sum up Disney's handling of the Star Wars IP in a most appropriate way, it'd be like if I had a machine gun and I was trying to like shoot, I don't know, a clementine from 100 feet away, and I shot like 200 bullets, and maybe 2 bullets hit it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There has been
That's
more bad Star Wars content
yeah, that's
than
fair.
good Star Wars content, but at least they're trying. That's that's the important thing. At least they're
Yeah.
putting stuff out there.
And I'm not as I don't feel as enchanted these days because I think I feel so overwhelmed by
Mm.
how much is out there where it's a whole lot of quantity, and I'm just like I don't know where to start, so I'm going to be indifferent to this at this point. So um but you know, my wife is still a huge fan. She was there I think this past summer actually.
Mm.
Um and we still haven't gone to Disneyland, which is kind of funny living on the West Coast now. Um
We were thinking about doing that for my birthday next year. If you
oh,
want to come,
yeah, let us know. That'd be
that would be
pretty cool.
killer.
Yeah.
Right? That would be sick. I'm gonna get you to believe in magic.
Okay.
And we're going on a Disney cruise next year. We're not gonna tell anyone when,
That's true.
but we've got the process in motion to get on a Disney cruise. I'm gonna get you to believe in magic. I'm gonna pull it out of you if I have to.
Maybe it'll be the watch boutiques on the cruise that makes me believe again.
We are going on the Disney Wish, and the Disney Wish has it's got some watch shopping on there. Got some serious watch shopping, so we can go and buy some duty-free diamonds or whatever, and I get some watches or something. I don't know.
Perfect. Perfect.
But yeah, I think it's just important for people to understand where Michael and I are coming from, or at least okay, no, I shouldn't speak for you. I'm coming from this as a Disney lover first and a watch lover second, because I think a lot of people will try to come at it as like from a watch aspect. So the remainder of this conversation, I keep moving from the mic, I'm sorry. The remainder of the conversation is probably going to be less watch focused. Like, I don't think we're going to talk about balance cocks
Hey.
seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like, or like the types of movements or things like that. I think this is going to be much more discussion about licensing, merchandising creation, American watchmaking as a manufacturing entity for American licensing partnerships, and then we're going to talk about Citizen watches. Going
Hell
to
yeah.
elegantly transition. Citizen Watches is the official provider of watches for all Walt Disney properties and IPs. That's why you'll have
the official one. I thought they were an official one.
They changed all the clocks in Disney parks to say Citizen.
Whoa. I wasn't aware of that. So it's funny that you say that, because the way that I was thinking about this topic going into it was more on the watch side. And it led me to think about, of course, the classic Mickey Mouse watch where
the hands,
his hands are the hands. And I got to thinking, is that the first time a character watch was tried, where it was a character and the hands were the hands? And how far back does that go?
That I don't know, actually.
And then you research the topic and you find some of these. You start to find some of these big American names like Ingersoll and you see Seikos in the past, and even larger luxury brands. And I think like John Mayer has like 2 custom Mickey Mouse Daytonas. And just how far does this go?
So this is interesting. I in my mind, I focus this conversation on official licensings of those intellectual properties to brands. So custom, I'm super aware of the custom John Mayer Disney's. That doesn't count. I'm talking about licensing, production, like watches to be made. There are all kinds of one-off Disney things that have been done and everything like that, but that's not necessarily what I'll focus on. I talked about this at the beginning of the show. The idea of merchandising and licensing some sort of property for other businesses to make was ingrained really, really early on, not even just with the advent of the parks, because when people think about the parks, you're like, oh, I got to make sure I set aside budget to buy merch. The idea of Disney merchandising existed way before the parks, and so Disney merchandising license agreement started in like the 1920s, like 1920. Yeah, I wrote it down. 1923, and that predates stuff like 1939, the first Snow White film, first full length animated feature Snow White. So the idea that this was the thing that really put Disney on, or Walt Disney animation on the map for a lot of people. And then obviously it wouldn't be until another couple decades when the parks opened. But kind of going back to this idea of licensing and merchandising for Disney, I think Walter Elias Disney, I think is a really interesting guy. I think people see images of him. He had a very keen understanding of his public image when he did like the iconic, I'm going to walk you through the experimental city of tomorrow like thing. And everyone's seen him at the models with the sticks and point. He had a very cultivated view of who he was, this sort of genial, almost father, grandfather like figure who had a bit of a spark of like kid like imagination. But I think the reality is he also had very large issues of feeling, I don't know if inadequate is the word, but he always compared himself to a lot of other large Hollywood filmmakers and producers and these people and things like that. And so he was always trying to figure out how, even in some senses monetarily, how to be on the same level as these folks. And so you can sort of see where I'm going with this. He was always trying to figure out how to make as much money as he possibly could from Mickey Mouse, Disney Ventures, Walt, the Disneyland parks. He and his brother Roy actually got into a really, really big fight because he wanted to sell the rights to use his name to the Walt Disney Corporation, and he wanted like an obscene amount of money. And like they got into a fight over it. I can't remember the exact amount of money. I'll actually plug this, but there's a book called Disney War by an author, James B. Stewart. It actually catalogs the rise and somewhat pre-fall of the very controversial Michael Eisner figure who served as CEO and president of Walt Disney from I think the mid 80s to about the early 2000s. I think it was 10 good years and then 10 weird years. And so it's called Disney War. It's one word. James B. Stewart talks a lot about this in his book. And so, Walt Disney just always had this idea of just wanting to figure out what to do more of to feel adequate enough. When I think his public persona was more pushing what to do more of to push the bounds of imagination or technology, which I'm sure was definitely in there. But the guy wanted to make money. Who doesn't like money? Plus, this is American industry. This is American industry at a time where this is the 20s and this is the 30s, and then obviously 40s and 50s. So there was a time of like great economic hardship, and we're getting sort of closer into this idea of really more of an economic boom and everything like that. So Disney began to very, very aggressively sell licensing rights for people to make like fucking like dinner plates and like, all kinds of stupid household goods with the fucking like Mickey Mouse head on it and shit like that. And so like that's nothing new. No, no one should be like, oh God, now they make Mickey Mouse salt shakers. Yeah, asshole. That's not new. That's not new. There's been Mickey Mouse shit forever.
That's a good point. Because I'd probably see that and think like to criticize like it's just so much like over merchandising to a point where it's
not
just
new.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Michael Eisner has. Oh, so I'm a huge fan of Michael Eisner. If you're a somewhat millennial like Michael and I, and you enjoyed any swath of Disney films that you consider part of your core childhood, I don't care how you feel about Michael Eisner as a figure, you have him to thank for that. Lion King, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, fucking Animal Kingdom. If we're talking parks as well. Sorry, a lot of people don't like Michael Eisner. I like Michael Eisner. He's a little crazy, which I think is perfect. But Michael Eisner has a really interesting quote. He was being interviewed and he's like, companies like Coke have a product. Companies like, I don't know what kind. I can't think of a company that makes like one thing, or at least a handful of things. Companies like Apple, I'll just make this. He didn't say Apple. I'm saying Apple. Companies like Apple, for example, only make a handful of products. Disney makes thousands and thousands and thousands of products across so many different verticals and so many different industry trends and non-trends that the idea of trying to keep a company like this profitable across all of these different ventures is insane. It's always going to be waves. 1 year, maybe the video game segment will do good. The next year, maybe it's going to be the animation segment that does good. And so the it's just interesting when you think about it. The idea of I'll say it, over merchandising is very much in the DNA of Disney. Not new. You show me a Disney toilet seat cover, I'll probably buy it. I'll fucking buy it. Red fuzzy toilet seat cover with Mickey just smiling. I'll fucking buy it. I don't care. That's great. Why wouldn't I want happiness?
It might be
when I'm
out
about to
there.
go in the toilet. It's probably out there. I'm
might
sure
be
it's
out
out there. Donald Duck toilet brush? Yes, please. That's like the perfect thing to put Donald on. Poor guy. Poor
I'm
Duck.
gonna find it. I'm gonna
find Disney Fab Five advertised bathroom products.
Yep,
I'm into it.
It's
Did
there
you
for
find it?
sure.
It's
I
got
found a Finding Nemo one too, for the toilet
Finding
seat
Nemo
cover.
toilet seat. That's actually really funny. That's actually pretty funny.
That
In
is.
the deep blue sea. So okay, let's go back to watches. Let's go back to so I just wanted to put a lot of that information out there for folks to have reference for as we talk about, making watches. So 1923 merchandising began happening with Disney products. It wasn't until 1933, or I think 1932, when it actually began for watches. So the first Mickey Mouse watch ever produced, and Michael, you referenced this, was actually produced by Ingersoll. Ingersoll is a really interesting American watch brand that I think a lot of folks have probably heard the name of, but they don't know too much about or anything like that. Ingersoll is very much ingrained with the idea of American watchmaking, just because Ingersoll essentially has a very close tie, if not a really direct tie, with Timex. Ingersoll was acquired by Waterbury Watch Company, and then eventually Waterbury Watch Company became, I think in the 50s or 60s, became Timex. And here's one of them now. That's great. The small seconds is like, that's fucking great.
I didn't notice the small seconds when I first saw this. That's really cool.
That's really cool. He got the moving pictures, man. He's got the. It's really fun. I think it's a ton of fun. So and Ingersoll made Disney watches. That was a license agreement that lasted the 30 or 40 years. It wasn't until I think it was about the 60s or 70s. It was the 70s. So in the 70s, obviously in the watch world, the 70s was an interesting time. It was the advent of the quartz crisis and everything like that. So late 60s, early 70s, Timex no longer begins, or Timex / Ingersoll is no longer making the Mickey Mouse watch. And it's not just Mickey Mouse, it's also like all his, they call them the Fab Five. So it's what we call them the Fab Five now. It's Goofy, Donald, Mickey, Pluto, and I gotta count my fucking hands. Mickey, Goofy, Donald, Pluto, Minnie. Okay, all right. Fab Five. Fab Six if you want to count Daisy. So
Daisy.
That's Donald's like female counterpart.
Daisy.
I think Daisy's cool, man. I don't know. My kid loves Daisy. We were at character dining last time we were at Disney, and she was there, and it was he lit the most up for her. It was really funny, actually.
Nice.
He also loves ducks, so he's just pointing at her and yelling "duck, duck, duck." Quartz crisis happens 1960s, 1970s. What I'm a little unclear of is whether at a certain point in time, I know Timex, I think, had to file for bankruptcy, and I don't know if Timex could no longer produce Mickey watches or if Disney removed the licensing rights from them, because then the licensing rights to make Disney watches / the Mickey Mouse watch went to an entity called the Bradley Watch Corporation, which is essentially a wing of Elgin Watches. Okay. Elgin Watches, everyone knows Elgin Watches in regards to also American watch history. Pocket watches, I think, is like the big thing with Elgin and everything like that. That wasn't for as long. That was for maybe 15 years, I think. I didn't take very good notes. I think it was about 15 years. So it was early 70s to like 87 or 86 is how long Elgin Watches was doing it. And then that's where it gets interesting. It went from Elgin Watches to a company called Lorus Watches, Lorus, which is also essentially Seiko. So there's a period of time where Seiko had the like main licensing agreements to make, you know, the Disney Watch. And so I want to caveat, there were other companies, I believe, making Disney watches. Like the license agreements, I think, were extended to different watch companies, but I'm pretty sure these were like the quote unquote official ones. So,
Oh yeah, I'm sure there were. I'm sure there were plenty of people making unlicensed ones as well.
you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
So if you go and you're just like, Kaz, I found the Vostok Mickey watch. You missed Vostok on your list. I'm like, listen,
Is there one?
There's yeah. There's
Oh my
a
God.
there's a yeah. Google it. There's a Vostok Mickey Mouse watch. I don't think that was licensed. If that was licensed, someone tell me, because that was also probably in the late 80s when the Soviet Union started to try to maybe adopt a little more Western practices than maybe some of the early, you know, kind of originating 1917 forefathers would have liked for them to do. But that was an attempt for them to try to um, be a little more modern, but it was obviously, you know, too late. If you're a metalhead at all, this is also, I think, around the same time, late 80s, early 90s, when they had that metal concert in Moscow with like Pantera and Metallica, and like they had like other musicians there and stuff like that. So it's entirely possible for some reason Disney was like, yeah, Vostok, you can do a Mickey Mouse watch.
Oh
So
my
if that's the
God.
case, let me know. But I don't. I'm gonna go on a limb and say it wasn't. It wasn't the case.
I think
Michael,
I
you having
found
trouble
one
finding
on.
it?
I think I found one on eBay.
Yeah, that's it. I think there's
Holy
also
cow.
a Donald Duck one as well. But yeah, that's the Vostok B. This looks like a bezel-less 420 case. What the fuck is this thing? Oh, the crown's in a weird spot. The crown's at 2.
I was about to
It's
ask you
almost
about that because I've never seen a case like that with the crown there.
some of the Commander skis are like that. Some of the Commander skis have the crown at 2. The Vostok Cadet might have it at 2, but I think it has it at 4.
Well,
This is
pretty
cool.
pricey. $290.
What the fuck happened to Soviet watches, dude?
You did.
It used to be. No, I refuse to believe that. We are not that influential. It used to be back in my day. I would be cleaning my laundry pockets out, and I'd find $20 in my jeans. I'm like, you know what? I'll go buy a Raketa. I'll go buy a
Don't
Raketa with this money I found in my jeans. Not anymore.
guitars too, man. I was just talking to a friend. Guitars are the same way. It's crazy.
What the hell, man? So okay, so 1987, Loris Watches gets the rights to make the Disney watch, and then after that, I think it gets interesting. After that, you clearly have a lot of entities making Disney watches. I think in the 90s, Timex was making Disney watches again. You have had Swatch making Disney watches and everything like that. Obviously, a lot of the fossil brands, because what's inevitably ended up happening is Disney, in an effort to try and always maximize whatever it can from merchandising, not just to okay, so I have a very cynical view on this, not just to maximize shareholder profit and revenues and everything like that. Also, if you're a Disney shareholder and you know you're well, that's kind of complicated in the past 5 years, but if you're a Disney shareholder and you did that because the Disney stock looked prospective to you, you should also thank Michael Eisner. Just want to put that out there. Fucking God.
Got to learn about this guy now.
I think he's clearly crazy. He's certainly very eccentric. We can talk a little bit about that. I'll go into that. Well, I'll go into it a little bit now, actually. So the whole dynamic that I think what makes Disney successful and what we're missing now, and why I'm very fucking excited for Bob Iger to retire like he said he was going to this time, because he tried that once and that didn't work. I'm very excited for Bob Iger to step down and for someone new to come in place, because Disney is most successful when you have this dichotomy of wallet and imagination. You need a money person and you need like a magic imagination person, and that goes to the impetus of what made the Disney parks properties really amazing, and the films, obviously. Roy, Walt's brother, was a money guy. He was a finance guy. He was the finance officer, all that fun stuff. Walt was not. Like he would make huge financial decisions when like Roy was on vacation because he knew Roy would say no. You know what I mean? Like it was always a fight. I think he wanted to use real gold in the Disney parks, like on the West Coast Disney parks, on like buildings and things. And I think for the most part they didn't, but I think they made this joke actually in Saving Mr. Banks. I think he waited for Roy to be out of town to use gold on like the castle or something like that, so he couldn't say no. You know what I mean? So like the fight was always there between the two of them, and you didn't really have anyone. There weren't that many CEOs or presidents after Walt. It was like Don Tatum, and then it was Card Walker, and then it was poor Roy Miller, and then no one really captured that magic until it was Michael Eisner and Frank Wells. Frank Wells, I think, had worked at Disney for a little bit before that. I think he was technically like the president or something. I'm fucking that up, but he worked at Disney before that. But he was a finance guy, and then in comes Michael Eisner, he's a TV movie guy. He was like old TV, like Laverne and Shirley kind of stuff. Like he was like a TV movie guy, but he was a big ideas guy. And so the dichotomy of Michael Eisner and Frank Wells produced like really iconic things. Then Frank Wells died, and then Michael Eisner was just a crazy person by himself, admittedly, for the last part of his time at Disney. And then that's when shit got weird. That's when you had movies which maybe weren't as big hits as some of the earlier period, but I think still have a cult following. So like Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, those all came in like Eisner's crazy period.
Yeah, I still love those too. Those are,
yeah.
Man, I watched Hunchback like a lunatic when I was a kid. I don't know.
They're still fun. Again, not having Frank Wells, I think cost a lot of. We're getting really off the rails, but like, I think originally, yeah, I guess it is our show. Michael Eisner could have bought Pixar from, I think it was for like 700,000 or 200,000. I think they had the option of buying it for that much. And he didn't because he thought it was dumb. He didn't like, so, okay, Michael Eisner was amazingly cheap. He wanted to do as much as he could for as little fucking money as possible. And he had this idea of like, hey, we're Imagineers, we're Disney. We can do anything ourselves here. I shouldn't have to pay money to buy something, which is totally the fucking opposite of Bob Iger, who paid, was it $70 billion for Fox? How much did Bob Iger buy Fox for?
Let's see.
$71.3 billion in 2019. Whoa. Fuck. Then he bought Star Wars for $4 billion, and then I think Marvel. What was Marvel? $7 billion?
Chump change.
I mean, I guess. Let me see here. Bob Iger. I can't find it. But all that's to say, Eisner was amazingly cheap, and so he could have bought Pixar for like $200,000 because the people that started it worked, I think, at Disney originally, because the whole thing that made Pixar interesting was computer animation. Eisner was very against the idea of computer animation. Well, no, he was for it, but just he didn't want to pay for it. You know what I mean? And so it's complicated. But sorry, we're getting way off fucking watches. I'm so sorry right now. Can you hear my son?
What is that?
That's my child.
Oh,
guys, are you safe? Are you? He's sick right now, so
doesn't sound.
I was telling you about that. No, I probably woke him up with the ramblings and shamblings of a crazy man in the room next door. That's fine. But so Seiko, I think, was the last like big sole licensor of like Disney watches. Now many people make Disney watches, and we've sort of returned full circle to this idea of like a main Disney watch provider, and it is Citizen Watches, which I think is actually really smart.
2018, that was right.
I was still in Orlando, so this must have been 2018. Yeah. Oof, different world back then.
And some of them are crazy looking. Like
they're really cool. I think a lot of them are fun. So I mean, Citizen Watches is a Japanese watch brand. Everyone knows Citizen. If you don't, it's really, really cool. It's an iconic, supposed to be this idea of everyone should be able to afford a watch that's highly functional, highly personalized, or at least not highly tailored to your personal style, and then environmentally friendly. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is the one I was showing Mike before we started hitting record. This is very much in the this is Mickey on the moon. Fuck yeah. You
And
know?
it's not just the Mickey stuff that you've seen them make. They've been making some of the comic book
Yeah,
characters and all that.
you'll see Marvel watches, and like
Oh,
also
Star
like
Wars.
yeah,
Star
Star
Wars,
Wars.
they did
Well, I
those
think
too.
Nixon was making Star Wars watches for a bit. I don't know if they still are.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. No, you're right. I think Citizen is doing it solely now, or they're doing it in tandem with those Nixon watches that came out. No, still, of course, Citizen. The Citizen had the Annie Digis with
Oh,
Star Wars motifs.
those I do like
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, 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 yeah. So Citizen's doing really, really good things. And so I think this idea of, Disney being a brand that like everyone can find happiness in, that's kind of for everyone, it makes so much sense that Citizen would be the person that's making, not the person, the entity that's making, well, I mean, it could be a person depending on who you ask, the entity that's making, Disney watches. I think this is really cool. How fun is this?
I actually do like this R2D2 one quite a bit.
This is really cool.
That's pretty awesome.
And so can I show you the watch I'm seriously thinking about getting?
Yeah, I'll stop sharing.
Let me borrow let me borrow the screen share.
That sounded like a work call just now.
I'm so sorry, everyone at home. Everyone's just like, oh, but I'm wearing pajamas, which we all do. Camera down. Let me find it. If my son's wailing is distracting, just let me know.
No, it's okay.
I think the noise gate will probably get it. Let me show you this badass watch, dude. If you were impressed by the spinning hand on that last one we were looking at, dude. All right, here it is, bruh. Here it is. Screen. Entire screen. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
This is the Mickey Aviator. It retails for $375 on the Citizen website. It is currently on sale for $281.25, but it is Mickey in a little aviator plane. Look at the small seconds hands. It's the plane propeller. Come on,
that's
now.
Cute.
And he's blowing the 9 and the 7 out of the way as he's blasting into the dial. Come on now.
I like that. Yeah, and that's, again,
This is so fun.
When I was thinking about the topic, I guess I was looking at it more from like specific watch models, trying to think how many versions of that character Mickey Hands watch, are out there. But this is a totally different take on a Mickey watch that I probably would have never thought about.
I mean, the iconic one that everyone wants is the moving hands Mickey. That's like, so Bob Iger, current president and CEO and board member of Disney, is a watch guy. It's actually a really funny story. I'm so sorry I'm talking so much about Disney. The only reason, my take on this is very cynical. I'm going to caveat that now. The only reason that Bob Iger is current president and CEO of Disney is that he was at ABC when Disney bought ABC. I think he was like the president of the ABC network. And when shit went down, when Michael Eisner was ousted and everything like that, Bob Iger was essentially the only functioning grown up left in the room. And so he just kind of got put in charge. It's a very cynical take. That's not to downplay anything that Bob Iger has done. I think he's purchased some amazing IPs and intellectual acquisitions. He just doesn't really have a strategic direction to utilize those to the best capacity. Early on, Michael Eisner was obsessed with this idea of people liking or not liking him. And he could flip flop one day. I wouldn't be surprised if he had lead poisoning or something like that, because it's like one day he'd be obsessed if someone liked him, and the next day he'd be like, you know what? Let's fucking fire him. Can I fire him? Get Disney legal in here. Let me see if I can fire him right now. Like in like crazy people stuff, you know? And there's a period of time where he really wanted Bob Iger to like him. Bob Iger's a watch guy, and he knew that. Bob Iger's been seen photographed with like a Batman before, and he has a collection of other watches. He also, I think, very famously has an early Ingersoll Mickey Mouse watch. I mean, he might even have, he's fucking Bob Iger. He might even have like a 1933 one. I have no idea. But there's a period of time where Michael Eisner was trying to figure out how to get Bob Iger to like him, and so they want to get him a gift. And someone in his team knew he liked watches, and so they're like, okay, let's go and get him a really nice Swiss watch. Remember, this is a room of not watch guys, okay, but not watch guys with money, you know. So I
The
think
best kind of watch guy.
I can't remember the watch. They got him a Breguet. They got him like some random, right? They got him some random Breguet, and the James B. Stewart book Disney Wars like has a pretty interesting segment on this part here, and they give the watch to Bob, and I should specify because there's lots of Bobs in Disney, to Bob Iger, and it's one of those like, oh, thanks, this is great. Yeah, I saw this the other day at Macy's. I mean, no, you're not gonna find Breguet at Macy's, but like he was clearly very underwhelmed.
That's in the book, you said?
Yeah, it's in the book.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they I can't remember the exact model. It's like a Breguet something. I don't know. I'm not too well versed on Breguet models apparently. But
I don't casually shop for them either. Don't worry.
no, do you not? Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get this 40 millimeters, 22 millimeter lug width.
I like that strap also with the
I
rivets.
literally I wouldn't change anything about this. Eco Drive, you got the railroad track. This thing is cool, man. I dig
I
it.
like it. Just for fun, I went on eBay and I typed in Mickey Mouse watch and I sorted price highest to lowest.
Okay.
And you see a lot of Gerald Genta and Bulgari, which is pretty.
You know, I think that's interesting. I think Teddy Baldassar has a piece talking about Mickey watches, and I think of all the things I use to do research, and I'll actually shout out other websites that I used to do research. I should have done that earlier. I apologize. His site was the only site I saw talking a lot about that, like Gerald Genta. What was the other brand you mentioned?
Bulgari.
Bulgari. I think that's why I really like the idea of Disney working with Citizen to make watches on like an official capacity, because not everyone's walking around buying fucking Bulgaris and like Gerald Genta, like the Gerald Genta brand like watches and things like that. Like I think there's interesting collaborations that are in there.
Look at this thing.
Which one is this is the Swatch one. Yeah. This is one of the Swatch ones. It's interesting. Not my style.
Why is it $10,000? Was this like super limited or something?
Why the fuck is it $10,000? Is it full of gold?
I don't know.
Must be limited. I have no idea. I also don't know who this collaborator that Swatch worked with.
Crazy models out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's antithetical to the idea of loving Disney and this idea of magic and imagination and whimsy being for everyone. I think it's against that idea of seeking out expensive Disney watches. Like, I don't know. I also have a very specific and personal vision of like what the idea of like the Disney product is, if you're talking about magic being as a Disney product. But like, I think that's why I'm really into the idea of the Citizen like brand licensing collaboration right now with the Disney watches. So,
you've been on some of the cruises, or you've been on a lot of the cruises where you say they sell watches, and you mentioned these big names and boutiques and stuff on board.
Oh yeah.
Like, do they have like a separate boutique where it's Disney specific, and then you'll see all these Citizens, for example?
What do you mean Disney? Like you mean like?
I guess more specific to the brand that has the licensing currently, where you would find then all of these more affordable, Disney themed or Mickey Mouse watches.
It depends on the ship. So let's work sort of backwards. The newest ship that's out right now is it's the Disney Wish. I think it came out in 2018, 2019. I can't remember. The Disney Wish has a very clear division between luxury watches and like the everyday shit. And the everyday shit is where the Disney stuff is. Like the luxury watches, you can buy Hublot, you can buy Panerai, you can buy Tudors on the Wish. I'm sure I'm fucking forgetting some. I don't know if they have that through like a collaboration through like Diamonds International or whatever the hell it is, but like it's treated as its own separate AD. Whereas if I walked into the general merchandise store, that's probably where you're going to see like the Citizen Disney watches and stuff like that. Working back from that, the Dream and the Fantasy, I forgot what year they came out. Sorry. Those are the Fantasy was my first Disney cruise ever. I love that ship. That was the first. That was where I damaged my Seiko Sumo. That was the first place I ever got damaged on that watch. I hit it on the dividing wall between Frozone's treats and the adult pool as I was walking.
A rugged story for a rugged watch.
Yeah, man. We lost a lot of good men on that cruise. And it's a little more mixed. In the Disney Fantasy, it's one big store where it's one long case, unless they've changed it. I haven't been on the ship in a while. It's one long case, and so one end of the case, if I remember correctly, it's like tag and like that kind of stuff. And as you work your way down, then you get into like, you know, Citizen and that kind of stuff. Oh no, I remember. The Disney Fantasy has that long case that I'm talking about. As you walk along the wall of the store, this is all in the same building. They tried to create a partition that separated the nice luxury watches from like the everyday watches. And once you cross that partition, then you have we actually have a piece on the site. If you Google Disney Fantasy watches, you'll probably just find it. When I was there, they had like Breitling, and they had I think they had like Omega, and probably Tudor and stuff like that. So on the Disney Fantasy, it's very much like combined.
I totally forgot that you did this.
Same. There you go. Two fucking idiots trying to figure out what it was like watch shopping at the Disney Fantasy when one of them literally wrote a piece about it.
And you have a video.
I even took a video.
Oh my gosh. We are proper website people.
We're watch journalists or something. I don't know. I took some photos in here. It was really funny. The Disney Magic, I haven't been on the Disney Wonder, but the Disney Magic, the Disney Wonder are the first ships. They're sister ships. Technically, the Disney Magic is the first ship. I believe it was a combination of the two experiences that I was talking about. There's a shared room where you have stuff, and then no, you know what it was? It's one big shared room with everything. And I'm remembering why I'm confused. The last time I was in the Disney Magic, I believe it was the Magic. There was a Bulgari boutique in there, and they had like Octo Finissimos and stuff like that. That was either on the Magic or it might have been the Fantasy. I can't remember. But it's a very long way of answering your question. They generally are separated, or they try to separate them. Because like they don't want just like a watch normalo to be like, oh, look at these Disney watches, like, oh, that's interesting, $100, $200, $10,000 for a Breitling doodad or whatever the fuck. I have no idea. You know, I don't know how watch
the
normalos
doodad
talk.
Yeah,
the doodad, the fucking
a rare model. Yeah,
the Super Ocean doodad. Yeah, everyone knows. Everyone knows the Super Ocean doodad, obviously. So no, they try to separate them. When we're on the ship, you'll see. I'm going on the Wish in January, so I'll get a bit of a preview, and then I'm going on the Magic in May, and then you and I'm not telling everyone when we're going on the Wish. You and I are going on the Wish after that.
We can't curse that trip, by the way.
No, if you're a TBWS lore subscriber, you understand.
I'm getting flashbacks.
We can't
now.
curse this trip. Yeah,
let's just not talk about it anymore. That's it.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to jinx it. But that's where we are. I think if you're at all interested in getting a Disney watch, either for a love of Disney or a love of watches, and this is again, this is my personal view. I would really encourage you to not come at it from a collector's standpoint. Don't try to find the rarest blah blah blah, or the one year where Mickey's gloves were white instead of yellow, or as
Mismatched,
I'm vice versa.
mismatched gloves.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like where he had whiskers on one dial and one dial he didn't have whiskers. Like, I would literally just go to the Citizen website and just look for a watch you like. There's a ton. There's so many fun watches. I would get a Disney watch out of a love of Disney, rather than wanting to crush the noobs and get like a super rare Mickey Mouse watch or whatever. Unless you want to get the Vostok Mickey Mouse watch.
Yeah, if it were me, I think I'd probably try again to, because it seems like the creativity that you see on the Citizen side now is almost like the same thing that I wanted after the Star Wars acquisition. Like I want to see the power and how that power can push creativity, in a positive way with the movies and the products or whatever. It seems like after seeing that Citizen Mickey Aviator one, like that's the kind of really fun, subtle creativity that I'd like to see if I were purchasing, some kind of Mickey Mouse watch, or like the Star Wars ones where it's not an explicit Disney watch. It just has those kind of subtle character design traits.
You know what I loved about the R2 one, the R2 Any Digi you had on the screen? That doesn't necessarily look like, to your point, like Any Digi cosplaying as R2D2.
Yeah,
that it looks more like a watch that might exist in the Star Wars universe. You know what I mean? It's really cool.
It looks like a vintage Citizen Any Digi that might have been lost to history or something, because it has cool colors.
It's I'll talk a little bit more about Disney, and then I promise I'll let everyone go. But it's interesting. I don't know if it's because Citizen is a Japanese brand or what, but I don't mean to monolithically homogenize this idea of what people do or don't like, but I'll just homogenize an entire group of people. The Japanese have a great love of Disney and respect for Disney. I mean, when Tokyo Disney was coming out, if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, I'm just sorry, I just tried giving the microphone a blowjob with my chin. If you're a Disney Plus subscriber, I would absolutely encourage you to watch the Imagineering story. It's 6 or 7 episodes talking about the history of Disney Imagineering and its expansion and the expansion of Disney properties sort of around the world. There's a good amount of time spent on Tokyo Disneyland and like Tokyo Sea and all that kind of stuff. But there's an amazing reverence and love for Disney in Japan, and one of the Tokyo Disney Imagineers said it really, really well. Historically, Japanese culture has been very reserved, and there was a sense for a long time of not having these large outbursts of happiness or emotion. That apparently doesn't count at Tokyo Disney. You can have these large, exuberant displays of happiness. You can be a grown-ass adult and want to go and hug Donald Duck. Like, you can be super happy and stuff like that. So there's actually a really, really touching segment when they're talking about that in light of like the lockdowns, like the COVID lockdowns, and how, as they were opening up, like there was this sense of relief that people can finally go back to Tokyo Disney and Tokyo Sea, and just it speaks to the heart and ethos of what, to me, again, makes the Disney park special. You can find your own spark of escape and childlike whimsy on Disney property. You don't have to worry about your job or paying your mortgage, unless you're dad. I should caveat all of this. Unless you're dad walking around your family,
then you have a baseline panic as you're spending.
You have a baseline. Yeah, you're just like, wait, Mickey premium bars are how much now? Holy fuck! Back in my day, they were $375. Now I think they're $670, $650, $675. Can't remember how much they are.
I think the happiest at Disney I've been recently, uh, and I guess this comes with aging in general.
Mhm.
Taking a nap in Carousel of Progress.
That's
That's
when
just
most people are happy at Disney.
taking a nap there.
It's not. People talk about it on the internet as if it's like some big hack or secret. It's not a hack or secret. Everyone knows about it. The Carousel
Yep.
of Progress is one of the absolute best rides to get air conditioning and like a 15 to 20 minute nap.
Yep.
Straight up. You know what I mean?
Uh,
Over in Tomorrowland, there's barely ever a line. Just go and sit, man. Just go and sit and chill. You know,
it's nice.
Nice.
Ride
It's
hasn't
definitely nice.
changed for the most part, I think.
They've done some updates, I think, every now and then, but you know, for the most part, I think if they ever tried getting rid of or changing that ride,
People will riot.
I mean, they got rid of a great movie ride for Mickey's Runaway Railway or whatever it was. People kind of were super upset about that. They rethemed Splash Mountain for Tiana's Big Bayou Adventure, whatever it's called. No one had a problem with that. That went fine. I don't think anyone had any issues with that. I think it's fine. I think I you know what's really funny actually? I promise I'll stop talking about Disney. One of the weirdest periods of time for Disney leadership was obviously probably, you know, COVID. Just before COVID hit. I was gonna spread tinfoil hat theory stuff, but I'll do that offline. Just before COVID hit, what'd you say?
Yes.
Yes. Welcome back to InfoWars with Kaz and Mike. Just before COVID hit, Bob Iger retired. He resigned as CEO, and he appointed at the time, I think he was VP of merchandising or something like that. Another Bob Chapek. And Bob Chapek was probably one of the worst things to happen to Disney during the pandemic. Bob Chapek was anti-paying humans to do anything. If he could automate it, if he could do it with just, you know, a string tied to a flashlight with a fan, he would have fucking done it. And a lot of people got furloughed. A lot of contractors, which is a large majority of human Disney entertainment, were fired and everything like that. And then they had to bring back Bob Iger. Bob Iger came back, I think, in 2022. What was it? Yeah, 2022. Bob Iger came back, and he's there, and he's there now. And so I'm just very excited to see what happens. And Iger said that this or next year is his last year doing what he's doing at Disney. So I'm excited to see who gets appointed after him. So
Yeah, help me find that magic again. We'll see.
it's already in you, man. You just got to find something to help you see that. You know,
Yeah,
there's
fair.
an Alan Watts quote. This might be the only podcast that talks about Disney and Alan Watts, but there's an Alan Watts quote where it said this idea, and I'm paraphrasing, of recovery and self-discovery has to essentially function as a seed. Seeds grow from the inside out. And that's something I always forget and I have to remember. So if you're trying to find the magic, it's already in you. You just gotta grow it from the inside out by going on a fucking Disney cruise with me.
Tell me another podcast where you're gonna get all of this. The only thing we're missing is the third non-comedic Jim Carrey reference, but I think we did good.
Oh fuck! Now I'm drawing a blank. I can't think of anything except all the comedy. Dag nabbit. That's okay. I'll go for a hat trick next time. I'll try to name 3 Liam Neeson comedic roles. I don't think they exist. That would be tough. Did you ever see that Ricky Gervais skit?
No.
Liam Neeson. Oh my god.
Should
There's
I
an
find
old
it?
skit where Liam Neeson walks in Ricky Gervais' office. He's like, Ricky, I'd like to get into improvisational comedy. And Ricky Gervais starts laughing, and he's like, "Oh, you're serious?" Like, yes. And then he starts going through the kinds of comedy he wants to do: slapstick, stand up, you know, and they try doing some bits, and like it's really fucking funny.
Oh, I think I found it. I'll give it a watch.
I think I can't remember his full name. Sorry, I'm jumping. Stephen Merchant. I think Stephen Merchant's there. Tall, tall, skinny guy, big head.
He's in there.
Or weird
yeah.
head. Yeah. It's really funny. I think Warwick Davis is there for a little bit too. Yeah,
he is there too.
He is there.
I see him in the preview. Yeah, I definitely have to watch that.
He runs into Liam Neeson. He's like, oh yeah, Liam, we worked on the Star Wars films together, and he's like, I don't remember you, and he just like walks right by him. It's really fucking funny. But that's where it's at. I would say if you have any inclination to get a Disney watch, if you're on Disney vacation, totally fucking do it. Buy it from the Citizen website, probably get a better price for it. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it. Don't get stuck in the collector's mentality. I don't know how to end the show. I'll just keep talking about Disney stuff if you want. Definitely go and check out Disney War. Like I said, it goes into a bit of the pre Michael Eisner history and then catalogs the whole fucking train wreck of everything that happened with Michael Eisner. It doesn't cover Bob Iger taking over because the book gets published right around all the tumultuous nature of what was occurring. But it's if you're at all interested, it's a really fun read.
No, this was good. I think people got a good background, and yeah, I learned a lot. So, good episode.
I think it's that time. Well, just before we go, this is not a Disney thing. Don't worry. Michael and I are going to do our best to recommit to doing the show every 2 weeks. Now that things are relatively normal, or whatever normal is for me now, for me in my life, and now we went through a long process of just planning episodes, honestly, into the middle of next year. The only thing that we're going to start working on is scheduling time, getting the show out there, and it brings me a lot of joy.
We have some good
nice
topics, some good topics in the works. So looking forward to that.
Good seeing you. Thanks for letting me talk at your face about Disney for an hour and a half.
I thought my wife liked Disney.
She does. The problem is, like, you ever watch a TV show and you're like, who's that actor? And you Google that actor, and you go on the Wikipedia page, and then you go to the Wikipedia page, and you realize their dad's an actor, and their dad knows someone that started this company, and that company was owned by this company, and then like 4 hours later, the movie's over, and you're just reading about like strawberries in Sweden, like that happens to me when I get into Disney stuff. You just look stuff up, and you're just fucking lost forever. You know?
Oh man, that's funny.
I don't know if that's ever happened to
I am one of those. I am one of those people. It's like, who's that person? I've seen them here before. Even with voice actors, I get kind of crazy. It's like, I know that voice, and then I have to look it up.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I will say, you plugged The Mandalorian. You like The Mandalorian. Mando's good.
I liked it. Even the later seasons, I thought it was still pretty well done. Yeah.
I would encourage you to watch Andor. We were talking about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Andor is interesting. It is the most non-Star Warsy Star Wars show I could think of.
I'll check it out.
There's no Jedi.
I'll get
there's rebels, there's Imperials, but like Imperials. There's the Empire, excuse me. It's interesting.
Might have to be Pirate Bay, but I'll watch it.
Shh, what are you doing? You're going to upset the shareholders, the Disney shareholders who aren't listening. I'm sure someone's listening. Well, let's do this. It's that sad time. I hope everyone really enjoyed this show. I had an amazing time, Michael, obviously talking with you. I clearly, obviously fucking love you. I'm happy to be back online. Happy to be getting back into it. Hope everyone had a really good time. Let us know your thoughts on the show. If you watched us on YouTube, thank you so much. Let us know your thoughts in the YouTube comments. You know what? If you have a Disney watch, which one do you have?
Yes.
Comment. Also, if you're like my dad and you were there opening day for Disney World and here in Florida or whatever, did you buy a watch? Is anyone an original purchaser of what we would call a vintage Disney watch right now?
That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be really cool. That'd be really fucking cool. Let us know your thoughts. Definitely appreciate everyone's time. You can email us. It's tbws.contact@gmail.com. The email again is tbws.contact@gmail.com. Hit us up in the YouTube comments. You could try Instagram. That's a bit rough right now.
We'll catch up on that next episode.
But yeah, let's do it, man. I'll let you start it, and then I'll tuck the kids in.
This was awesome. Thanks for listening, guys. My name is Mike.
And this is Kaz. You have been listening to Two Broke Watch Snobs. Later.